Alright, what's up guys? So, got the turbo in, installed everything. Last video was put up, we saw it running. It's been a few days since I did put up a video because it's been a few days since I really recorded anything. I tried to make a couple videos, but it wasn't really worth it in my opinion at the time because I was just kind of trying to troubleshoot this thing and going in a lot of circles. So basically after I started it and got it running, you saw it on the video, it ran very well, or so I thought. It was holding like a 13.3 air fuel, which is a little rich for the idle condition, but didn't really think much of it. It was manageable. Went in the house, came back out the next day, started it, and then same tune and everything. It wouldn't even read on the wideband. So it was reading so lean that it wasn't even registering on the wideband. It was like over 18.5 air fuel, so something was off. Didn't really think much of it, started to add a little bit more fuel and added some fuel until I could get it to read on the gauge. By the time I actually got it to read a 14.715 range at idle on the wideband, it was running really rough and basically coughing black smoke at the time. So I knew it was way too rich and something was wrong with the gauge. Thought the gauge was bad, took it out to a different car and verified that it was actually working. It was working perfectly. So something else was going on. Started to do some troubleshooting, pulled all the plugs out. The plugs were like completely carbon foiled black. So I'm thinking that I did have some type of a misfiring situation that was causing the wideband to read lean and just basically making it worse at the time. So putzed around with that a little bit, tried to figure out what was causing it. There was a misfire code. There was a injector circuit fault code. I got that thing to clear. Didn't really find any problems. Put a new set of spark plugs in it and then everything ran fine. So what I ended up doing was, besides putting in the new plugs, I ended up taking the crossover pipe off and put in all new plugs. Started it just to see what it was going to do without the crossover on, and it ran really smooth, fired up and ran great. Put the crossover pipe back on. What I did do differently when I put the crossover on was added some red high temp RTV in the V-bands. They're a little bit warped from when they were welded, so they're leaking a little bit. Not too bad, it's manageable, but just for good measure threw some RTV in there. Other than that, basically I didn't change anything besides putting the new plugs in. So I was using the old plugs that were with the engine before. I did gap them down, did make the spark plug gap a little bit smaller. I put them at like 28 thousandths. I don't know if that was too small. I feel like it shouldn't be too small and was causing it to misfire and follow the plugs. Put the different plugs in. I will have to gap them down a little bit. Just want to make sure it's running and I can drive it around and do some tweaking just to get it driving. One other thing, and this is totally my issue, was I forgot to tighten down the intake. It was all hand tight. It wasn't leaking or anything, and I tested it with starting fluid all the way around it, but all the bolts are just hand tight. So I don't know what I was doing when I put the intake on, but didn't tighten anything down. So I'm glad I found that in the troubleshooting process. I did actually take it for a drive around the block last night. I got a really crappy GoPro video of it. I can put a couple clips in for you right now. Got it to make a couple noises that we all wanted to hear and blew one of the intercooler pipes off. So what I'm going to do right now is fix the intercooler pipe and make sure that's not going to pop off again, or try to get it to where it's not going to pop off, and then we'll go drive it. Alright, so I made some changes based on the log file that I made yesterday. So I will write those changes in. I just made the log file and kind of looked it over and made a couple tweaks. So I'll see what happens. Adjusted some of the idle settings, some of the fuel settings while driving, and just a couple other things. So we'll see what happens. I'll start it up and see if it actually starts and idles without any issues. Might be a little bit light. Open the scanner up, see what we can find. I think I did pull a little bit of fuel out at idle, so maybe I'll need to add that back in. I don't know. We'll see what's happening. Give it a swirl. I'm thinking it's a little lean. So I'm gonna try this once. I'll go open the real-time tuning. This real-time tuning is pretty cool. So now it's commanding the table. I will open up the primary fuel table. So now it just populated that there. So I'm going to grab probably this section right here. And maybe I'll add like 5% in. Let's see what that does. Alright, so I'm writing this file again. I added a little bit more. I just added about another 10% up in here. And we'll see what that does. Try to start it a little heavy, I guess, and then get it to run. Real-time tuning now. It's a little rich, but it's still warming up. So you can see this box bouncing around here. So that's actually where the engine is running. When that table generates, I'll be able to make this adjustment. So I just changed it a little bit. You can see it changed to a 11.7. Pulled another 5%. Better for idle. See how it handles in regular traffic. Alright guys, that's about it. It's a little bit chilly out here. My toes are getting cold. There's no heat in that truck. It's starting to get there. So just to show you how cold it is. This is total ice. I was using this for my overflow. A little bit of water left in there, but this thing turned into ice just from driving around for a little bit. So that's how cold it is today. Did get it around. I drove it for probably, I would say, at least an hour and just made some tweaks. Did a lot of the cruising driving, like 25, 35, 45, 65 miles an hour. Dialed that thing in. Probably needs a little bit of work yet, but it's pretty good. And then did get into it a little bit. You heard it on the videos. I did have the intercooler pipes blow off 2 times. Once today and then once the other day when I was driving it. Might have to do the hairspray trick that a couple guys mentioned. Just basically this one over here, this one popped off right off the compressor housing. I just had like a big hose clamp on that one though, so I got a different type of clamp on there now, and that's working pretty well. So yeah, didn't really do too much of the boost driving, just kind of got into it just a little bit. Kind of want to dial it in. It's actually really rich, and I do want to adjust the spark plug because it's starting to break up a little bit once it gets into boost, but I knew that was going to happen. It's just out of the box TR6 plugs right now. Just wanted to do it fresh out of the box just to get it running, and then I'll pull them back out and probably start to gap them down a little bit. So yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Got the turbo noises that you're looking for. I'm going to start playing with this thing a little bit more, warm my toes up, and heat the garage up because there's real water in there because I'm too cheap for coolant. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Alright guys, so after a few more hours today, I do have a success story. I burnt my hand. Pretty cool.